There have been a lot of great rock albums in 2018. What's good or great isn't always popular or enduring, but perhaps some of the great stuff from this year will last on. Here are the best rock albums of 2018. How does a 90s guitar hero with a progressive social message get in front of a mass audience today? Former Rage Against the Machine guitarist Tom Morello tries to crack that code with the Atlas Underground, which pairs him with some of hip-hop's best MCs, EDM's biggest stars, and a few pop singers as well. While many collaboration-filled albums end up being forgettable, the Atlas Underground holds up with some of the better ones. Big Boi and Killer Mike rage against police brutality on Rabbit's Revenge. Every Step That I Take, featuring Portugal the Man, is mournful, as is Find Another Way, featuring Marcus Mumford. The album's biggest surprise is Where It's At Ain't What It Is, featuring Gary Clark Jr. You might expect a guitar orgy, but instead, it's a piano-driven disco EDM jam. If you've got a purist's approach to rock music, the Atlas Underground may not be for you, but for those who are open-minded, you're invited to Morello's funk rock party. Few mainstream artists release blues records anymore. To be fair, how much can anyone add to the genre after it's been around for nearly a century? 49-year-old singer-songwriter Ben Harper and 74-year-old harmonica player Charlie Musselwhite have figured it out, though. On No Mercy in This Land, their second album together, they explore the different aspects of the genre, from the electric blues of Movin' On and The Bottle Wins Again to the Delta sounds of the title track. Elsewhere, Found the One sounds like it could be an old John Lee Hooker jam, while Love and Trust sounds like if Otis Redding had become an acoustic folkie. On No Mercy in This Land, two artists from generations defy the odds, adding new standards to a dusty art form. David Bowie's been gone for more than 2 years, but on Bad Witch, Trent Reznor sounds haunted by his idol and former tourmate. This is supposed to be the third EP of a Nine Inch Nails trilogy, but it stands on its own. The Bowie influences include lyrics about madness, as well as Bowie-style saxophone parts. God Break Down the Door features not only sax, but Reznor crooning in a style very reminiscent of Bowie, over a skittish rhythm that would have fit on Bowie's Earthling. The era when challenging rock musicians like Trent Reznor were celebrated in the mainstream seems to have passed a long time ago. However, Reznor has always been an outsider, so acceptance by the masses isn't a priority for him. Considering his position as an executive at Apple Music and his cinematic scoring gigs, he doesn't seem too concerned about commercial appeal anymore. Instead, he's adding to his legacy and continuing to make challenging music that rewards repeated listenings. If you're souring on rap metal, take a minute to reconsider with Fever 333. Their 2018 EP Made in America is clearly influenced by Rage Against the Machine, both sonically and politically. If you're into progressive lyrics, this one's for you. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, Fever 333's music is pretty infectious. Frontman Jason Aylan Butler spits rhymes with fury, but sings with plenty of melody. While Fever 333 share Rage's progressive politics, they don't follow that band's orthodox musical rules. Instead of sticking to sounds produced by just vocals, guitars, and drums, there are a lot of electronics on Made in America. The same is true when they perform live, with a lot of samples and loops going on at their shows. They've been pulling in huge festival crowds, so expect them to get higher billings in the near future. Amanda Shires is a favorite in the Americana world, so straight-ahead rock fans may overlook her, but that would be a mistake. Just consider this epic putdown. I'm rock and roll and you're golf. That's from Break Out the Champagne, off her 2018 album To the Sunset. Elsewhere, Eve's Daughter is classic garage rock. It sounds as if Loretta Lynn reimagined Bob Dylan's Tangled Up in Blue while backed by Lynyrd Skynyrd. The entire album is excellent, but closing number, Wasn't I Paying Attention, is especially haunting. It starts off with loaning a truck to a friend and ends with a frightening loss of life. Shires has great backing musicians who keep things interesting while staying out of her way. She's one of the best lyricists of this generation, and her shimmering voice helps elevate her stories in the same way a great actor takes an amazing script to another level. It's been a long time since the blues have been scary. It's also been a long time since the blues have been a significant influence on heavy metal. Zeal and Ardor is changing both of those equations. Manuel Gagno, the band's mastermind, combines the haunted vibe of Robert Johnson with elements of extreme metal. It shouldn't work, but it does. Gagno started the project on a lark after someone on the 4chan message board suggested he create a hybrid between two seemingly opposing genres. The project has since developed a devoted fan base, and those fans take Z&A seriously. While metal fans have claimed the band is theirs, Zeal and Ardor uses extreme metal as just one element in its interesting mix. On Stranger Fruit, Gravedigger's Chant is a piano-driven soul song that eventually welcomes in pounding drums and huge power chords. Row Row starts with clapped chants before blasting off with extreme metal guitars and screams. Z&A won't get much play on mainstream radio, but the right placement in a movie or TV show could catapult them from the clubs to headlining theaters. Perhaps it was Black Sabbath's 2017 retirement that inspired stoner metal band Sleep to release The Sciences, their first album in 15 years. Whatever the reason, we're glad they're back. Everything about their return worked, starting with the fact that they surprise released it on 4/20. That was a cool gimmick, but the album itself is what really got fans stoked. The Sciences is creepier, doomier, and even sabbier than Black Sabbath's last album. Marijuana Nuts' theme is a hash-obsessed answer to Iron Man that features references to Sabbath guitarist Tony Iommi, while Geezer Butler pays tribute to Sabbath bassist Geezer Butler. Even if you come for the Sabbath references, you'll stay for the brutally crushing songs. Make sure you put some time aside, though. Of the 6 tracks, 3 pass the 10-minute mark, and yet none of them feel like they go on too long. Back in 2003, Rancid's Tim Armstrong co-wrote much of Pink's Try This album. If she had taken the opportunity to leave the pop scene and join Rancid, it probably would have sounded something like the Interrupters, and that's not an insult. In fact, Armstrong produces the Interrupters and signed them to his Hellcat label. The problem with the huge wave of ska punk bands in the 90s was that they generally lacked memorable songs. That's not a problem on the Interrupters' 2018 album Fight the Good Fight. This 12-song set is a half-hour long, and there's no fat on it. The first single, the super infectious She's Kerosene, was the band's first radio hit, reaching number 4 on the alternative charts. Leap of Faith is an anthem about feeling cheated but refusing to give up. Armstrong and the rest of the guys from Rancid even show up on the rousing Got Each Other. Fight the Good Fight is overlooked, underrated, and out of step with the times, just like punk rock should be. Based on their visuals, you might think Swedish band Ghost are all about death metal, but they actually have some of the catchiest pop rock songs in recent memory. These days, most metal acts use guttural vocals and dense arrangements to make the music inaccessible to outsiders. Ghost, on the other hand, splits the difference between King Diamond and Bryan Adams, making it sound as if the last 2 decades of metal never happened. Prequelle is a great introduction to Ghost, and it's also the best rock album of 2018. Rats is a sing-along jam that could hold its own alongside classic hard rock jams from Kiss, Van Halen, or Rat. Dance Macabre is an earworm that channels disco and 80s pop. Even the instrumentals are fantastic. Miasma features synthesizers that you'd imagine were played on a keytar. It even has a saxophone solo, something rock music could use more of. For many pop music listeners, Prequelle could be a gateway to rock music, and that's something rock needs more of in 2018. New fans joining the party.